Welcome to Global Con 4, the next iteration of the awesome line of Cloud 365 virtual conferences. My name's Mark Stokes and I'm a co-founder of Atollo Intranet and I'm a massive fan of the Power Platform. I'm particularly into Power Automate, Power Apps, Power BI, everything that comes with it. And here at Atollo we do a lot of work around the Power Platform to complement your intranet. And I'll take a minute just to Sorry, what? This is a Turbo Tuesday session. You mean 15 minutes? Right, okay. So we've got 15 minutes on these Turbo Tuesday sessions. It means a rapid fire set of information for you, not a full length session. So that basically means less talk about me and more talk about the topic. That's good for everyone. Okay, welcome. At Ignite this year, Microsoft announced Microsoft Power Automate Desktop, a new desktop-based robotic process automate authoring solution that expands low-code automation capabilities for everyone in the organization. According to Microsoft, more than 350,000 organizations rely on Power Automate to easily create and manage automated workflows through no-code guided experience. With Power Automate Desktop, they're extending the automation capabilities of Power Automate to on-premises processes and tasks, making it possible to automate desktop or web-based applications. It introduces new drag-and-drop visual designer with over 370 actions that run on your desktop, so you can automate everyday tasks to more complex business processes and workflows, all from one intelligent platform. You may have guessed by my eyes, I was reading that. That's the marketing material, and that's what we're going to read out from Microsoft. What we're going to do in this session is we're going to download the application, we're going to have a look at it, and we're going to do a bit of a showcase, a bit of a show and tell to see what it includes, what it involves, and then basically maybe build something quickly just to get hands-on. So it's not in depth, it's not a guide, it's not a full hour session, it's a quick showcase, 15 minutes, Turbo Tuesday. Let's go. Okay then, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to flow.microsoft.com and that's going to take us to the Flow homepage. So to get access to the desktop app, what we're going to do is click on My Flows and then we're going to go to UI Flows. Okay, UI Flows is the terminology we're using for these on-premises desktop-based flows and automations, and then that's going to give us the option to use Power Automate Desktop in preview mode. So it's going to prompt us to give a name of the flow. Now, if we've already got the application installed, it will just fire it up. But in this case, we're going to choose to get the app. So we're going to choose to download it now. When we click it, that's going to download to the desktop. And when it's ready, we can launch it and start the installation. There's two packages that we want to install. So we'll go ahead and install those both now. Leave all the tick boxes ticked and accept the terms and conditions. And then we can watch the installer fly through. And then it's going to prompt us to install some browser plugins, and these extensions allow the application to take control of the browser and perform the automation tasks for us. So go ahead, install those into your favorite browser, so Chrome, Edge and Firefox are supported, and once they're installed we can carry on. Next thing we want to do is launch the application. We'll prompt us to sign in, so use your Office 365, your Microsoft 365 credentials. And then that will log us in. So the first thing it does straight away, it loads the UI flows that I have already in my account. So you can see I've already created one previously to record in this video, so we can see it here. But now what we're going to do is we're just going to create a new UI flow using the desktop app. And it's going to ask us to enter a name. So we've already entered it, but that was in the browser, so we're going to enter it again now. Okay, so that will create a new flow for us. And we have the option to either run the flow directly from here, or we can go into edit mode. So if we go into edit mode, this is what the window looks like. A quick orientation. We have a file menu across the top. And if we're interested, we can actually reinstall the browser extensions from here. So if you didn't do it first time around, don't worry, you get another chance to do it from here. And then on the left, we have all of the different actions that we can perform. So there's a whole load of different actions we can do on the desktop. And we have various variables, so we can track variables throughout our flow. Lots of options here to do with lists and things like that. We have conditions, so we can do branching in here as you would normally expect to do. We've got lots of other options as well. So if I have a look through some of these, what else have we got? Loops, so we can do loops in here. We can do flow, so we can start subflows or stop subflows. So we don't have to put everything in one big long list. We can actually call other little flows to do discrete bits of functionality. System, so we can run DOS commands, we can run applications, we can show the desktop. We can pretty much automate anything that you would do on your desktop computer or server. So we've got file controls here, folders, web, so we can automate the browser, we can start and stop services on the machine, run OCR, we can do Azure and AWS stuff, all that kind of thing. Across the top here, then we can actually save our flow, we can run it, we can stop it if it's mid-flow, we can start a web or a desktop recorder, so we can actually record the actions that we do rather than entering them like this, but we're going to do it manually. So we can actually create a subflow. You notice you need to create the name without spaces. So this means we can actually call other flows within our flow. So if we want to do something like write an item to Excel, we can do that in a subflow nice and easy. So what we're going to do here, so once we create a subflow, we just drag on a run workflow box, and that will let us go and run our subflow. In the subflow, we're just going to add a little comment, and we're not going to do anything at the moment because it's just a quick walkthrough. Click main, click save, that saves it. It actually saves it up to flow.microsoft.com as well, the Power Automate service, and then you can click run, blink and you miss it because it doesn't actually do anything. All we're doing is calling our subflow and then writing out, or not even writing a comment, just entering a comment. We can set input and output variables as well. So if we need to input some variables to our flow, we can do that. It might be a path for an Excel spreadsheet or something like that. So we can create some input variables. You have to put a description, otherwise it won't like it. And we can also do output variables as well. So if we want to output something from this flow, we can do that as well. Okay, so there's our input-output variables. We also have the bottom area where we can track variables that we use within our UI flow as well. So what we're going to do is, I'm just going to do a quick example here where we create a variable or set a variable, and then we're going to write some entries to an Excel file. So we're going to launch Excel, we're going to write some options to the cells, and then we're going to, and that's it. Just to show how the automation works. Very quick demo here today. So we're going to set a variable called var name, and we're going to set that to Mark. Then we're going to my subflow, so just to prove we can work across subflows. Then we're going to go in, go down, find the Excel option, and the first thing we want to do is we want to launch Excel. So I'm going to launch Excel here in the main flow, and the reason I'm going to do that is to show that we can interact with that Excel file within the subflow as well. Okay, so I'll just delete that comment, and then what we want to do is we want to write to Excel, write to the worksheet. And we have the option here, so we can choose the variable that we created when we launched Excel. We can put in the value we want to write into the cell, and then we can put in the cell here. So I want to put date into A1. We'll do some column headers first. So put a date in first, and then maybe we'll put a name column header into the second cell. So we'll put in that to B1. So there are our column headers, and then what we'll do, we'll just write a single row of options in there. We could do anything else. We can use any of these methods to do anything on the desktop we want. We've got lots and lots of options in here. So the first, what I want to do is I'm going to get the current date and time. So there's a date and time option in here. So by doing this, I get the current date and time, and then I can actually write that into my Excel workbook. So we'll use, the current date time created a variable for me. I can access that, and I want to write that value into column A2. Okay, and then in column B2, I'll just write my name. I could take the var name that I used before, I didn't. So I'll write my own message in, and we'll just put that into B2. So when we run this flow, what we expect to see is we expect it to see actually start up Microsoft Excel and then write those entries in. So just move our window so we can actually see it. And if we run it, then we will see it goes into run mode. And it traces through the steps, and it's gone and done that already. I mean, that was pretty quick, to be honest. Again, blink and you miss it. So maybe if we just close that down. You could automate closing it down, saving it as well. Literally anything we have pretty much access to do. So if I run it again, launch it, you can just see it working a little bit better there. And the nice thing is it traces through the steps in the UI builder, so you can actually see what it's doing as it's going along. Save it. So again, it saves it up to the service. Sometimes the application can be a little bit slow to respond if you're using a low speed laptop. Then maybe it can take a little while to respond. It's a bit like the Power BI app, a bit heavier than maybe it feels like it should be, but generally it runs okay. Okay, so what we've got here, this is a big demo now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to automate the example of an integration test of a website. So I'm going to take our internet product and we'll do some basically some regression testing in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to launch Microsoft Edge and we're going to go to a particular URL. And then we're going to run through some subflows and it's going to launch Excel. It's going to go and create some headers for me for this particular run instance. And then it's going to go through this web page and it's going to detect if these web parts exist on the page or not. So as it's running through now, it's checking each of these widgets. So the carousel, the people search, the other news items. So it's actually detecting, does this item exist on this web page or not? So if we wrote some code and we broke one of these web parts, then it wouldn't show up on the page. So we can actually do automated testing now on our test sites to say, have we broken some web parts or not? And it goes through all the different components on the page, checks if they're right, and it writes them into Excel. So it gives us a pass or a fail on each of those items. Have a little bit. I think it's paused here because I was messing with the browser, so it's taking control of the browser. And I think because I was scrolling through, it basically hit a breakpoint. So I've just carried on running. You can't see it. It'd be nice if it flashed on the browser what it was looking for, but it doesn't. So now what I've done, I've finished that page and I've got it to load up another page. So now I want it to load up the news portal, and we want to again check the different web parts on the page to make sure that that news page is properly rendering. If any of these come up as a fail, we could send an email from Outlook, or we could do a HTTP response. We could even send that to a normal Microsoft flow that could actually go and do some notifications or some emails or something like that. But all we do here, right, pass fail to the browser, and that's it. So you can really build up these actions, make them really long, go through all of your browsers, do all your integration testing, but it could be anything. Check if services are running or anything like that. It really is that powerful. So what I want to do now is just take a minute and recap. That is basically what the Power Automate desktop application does. It's not about your flows. It's not a desktop editor for the flows that you're used to creating. It's a desktop editor for creating UI flows, which are automations of your desktop. These tools have existed before, things like Selenium, stuff like that. But this is Microsoft's own version now to do desktop automation. So it's all about that robotic process automation. So if you are expecting a desktop flow editor, you might be disappointed. But the power of what we can actually do with this is quite incredible. I love the fact there's AWS hooks in there as well, some Google Cognitive Services. So again, Microsoft showing that they're going cross-vendor as well, not focusing on themselves completely. So I really like this tool. I think it's very useful. We're going to use it for all our regression testing on our applications. I can find lots and lots of different uses for this. So it's a quick turbo session. That's a quick showcase of what the Power Automate desktop app is all about. I'll be very interested to hear your comments and get some examples of how you're using it. If you're going to start using this, please tweet me at Mark Stokes. Very interested to see what people are doing, and maybe I'll create a video and showcase your application at some point. But there we go. That's everything for my session. Turbo session done.